Find out more about Chelsea and their thoughts on that draw at Anfield. Let's go back there and get post-match reaction. Here is Levi Colwell.
Levi, can you be happy with the point?
It's a tough one to take, I think. I think we played some really good football out there. Close offside goal, I think a definite pen. So we're disappointed because, we're Chelsea and we expect to, no matter where we go, to get 3 points. But with the recent run of form, coming to Anfield is always a tough place, and leaving with a point in the worst thing in the world.
I suppose breaking that run of defeats and even looking at the relationship between the fans and the players at the end here as well, that's progress, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I think the fans always know that we give 100% for them, and I think today they really see it. We dug in deep, and like you said, our form ain't been great, but no matter where we go, we're going to give 100% for the fans, for the club, for ourselves, and try and win, which we done today.
How did it feel to be back out there starting a Premier League match again? It's been a long time, right?
Yeah, 100%. Before the game, there was no nerves. I was just happy to be back out there, I said to myself before the game, no matter what happens, how I play, just be blessed that you're back on the pitch and enjoy it.
And lasting 90 minutes as well is great ahead of the cup final. It's a good little reminder to the manager that you're available now.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's down to the staff that I've been working with during my rehab. They've put a perfect plan in place and built me up really well. So now I'm able to play 90 minutes and build on from here. I think it's all down to them.
Good to see you back. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, Ian just telling him there, good to see you back. Let's get your thoughts on Levi Colwell being back and starting today.
Well, it's fantastic to see him back, first and foremost. I mean, as a player, I never had an injury that I was out for that length of time. And at a young age, mentally, that's tough. So to do the hard work and to get back and get the rewards in terms of back on a pitch and starting, before he got injured, he was one of the main centre-backs, one of the main defenders in that Chelsea team, even at the young age that he is. And he was going from strength to strength. So delighted to see him back. And I thought he played, I thought he was solid today as well. So all in all, great to see him back for not just club but country as well.
He did say this was a tough one to take for Chelsea and that was definitely a penalty.
No, I mean, of course, he's a Chelsea. And very much like the Liverpool one, I would say that Virgil's wasn't definitely a penalty, no. You see strikers do this a lot where and Gary will tell you, even if the defender's in position, they put their leg in there for you to either kick their leg or for you to run into their leg and then fall over. Now, of course, if the body angles are different, whereas for me, Frimpong had the line of the ball and he just put his leg across. So, and of course, he's probably on the halfway line looking at that. So for him to see if we've got a clearer view. As you can see, Frimpong's already there and he just put his leg across.
Just using his body. He's just using his body there. And I think if Frimpong was the one that made the first movement, then maybe you would have had a case.
Yeah.
But I think it was João Pedro, like we said, that went fishing a little bit there and there wasn't enough in it.
It's a very big point for Chelsea. They're first in 7 Premier League games and a pretty good way to go into the cup final next weekend.
Yeah, it's just because of the last results, isn't it? If you isolate this game as a whole, it was a great reaction after they went 1 down early on. They played some decent stuff, didn't create too much, but defensively didn't allow Liverpool to create too much. All in all, a decent performance from Chelsea. It's just because they're chasing the tails now, aren't they, in terms of them European spots. But if you isolate this game away at Anfield, yeah, point's not the worst.
I think the performance will please them. Yeah, the result you can see may be disappointed, but in terms of the grit and the heart and the fight that they showed throughout the full 90 minutes, we haven't seen from Chelsea in the last 2 or 3 matches.
Yeah, well, that's Chelsea and their reaction to today. What about Liverpool? Before, you said this is probably a bigger game for the manager, Arne Slot.
Well, yes, it's important for us not to lose. I would like to have won. I'd like to have played better. But, I'll be talking about Champions League, and a lot of people just, say, as long as we're in the Champions League, we're happy. It's a disappointing season. The front 3 players are missing, so we're playing against a Chelsea side who may be devoid of confidence, but on any given day they've got good players, so they can perform as they did today. So overall, I'd say that I was happy with the result, not necessarily the performance, but I would just like the fans to get behind Arne Slot until the end of the season and see what happens. Because, of course, it goes onto the pitch once its negativity continues.
Well, what do you think about Arne Slot's future? You said this was big. It ended up in a draw. Does it move?
I don't think... Had he won, people would have been happier between now and the end of the season. Had they lost, they would not have been as happy. But I don't think this is necessarily going to have an impact as to next season. I don't think these next 2 games, who are going to be in the Champions League, will necessarily determine his future. I think it's easy to say he's either going to be here or he isn't, but I don't think that these last 2 games are that, when I say not that important to win, but in terms of whether he's going to be here or not next season. And I believe that we have to then, as far as I'm concerned, he should be here next season, regardless of what happens in the next 2 years. 2 games.
Why do you think so?
Because Jurgen Klopp Pep Guardiola, Carlo Ancelotti, whoever you think is going to come and do a better job. I don't think there's anyone out there who can come and do a better job. So, you know, when people talk about we want to change the manager, who do you change him for to make it better? You know, so for me, I don't think there's anyone obvious out there who'll make it, because a new manager coming in may say, I don't want these players, let's spend another 500 million, you know, so therefore, and he won the league, so I've given him, you know, some kind of kudos for that. And as much as they say maybe Jurgen Klopp's team finished fourth that last year, and he won the league with that team. All these players coming in, teething problems, are going to take time. I'd like to give him that time.
Well, speaking of new managers, Chelsea on the hunt for a new manager. What do you think about the summer that is ahead of them?
Of course, it's going to be a big summer, and I feel like they're obviously giving themselves time now from now to the end of the season. I don't think it'll be a rush decision in terms of the next appointment. It has to be right, doesn't it? So I think they will give themselves that time. But it's going to be important. It's going to be a big summer in terms of potential players moving in and out. But ultimately, you have to get the head coach, manager in place that's going to take this club forward, and these young players, and develop these young players and take them to the next level is going to be key.
It's also a difficult one because the World Cup ends so late. And, you know, there are a couple of managers who are being talked about, but they're still under contract with national teams. And then players will be coming back later on. You know, the season starts pretty soon after that. So pre-season time a little bit shorter.
It's always tricky, especially tournament year, been involved in it myself. You know, players, depending on how far they get in the tournament, strip feedback in, which is never ideal for a manager from the point of view of the pre-season tours and working with the squad. If there's new players to work together, I think that's vital time, you know, in terms of the pre-season and preparing for the start of the season. But it is what it is, and top teams are used to that. Ultimately, it's just about making sure they get the right man in place, like I said, that can take this club forward.
I think the difficulty for Chelsea, if you're looking at a World Cup manager, is that can't be announced before the World Cup, because that would negatively impact him with his country. He's saying, how committed are you leaving? So therefore, they can't make that announcement until after the World Cup. But if it's not going to be a World Cup manager, I think the most important thing is to announce it as soon as possible, if it's not going to be a manager who goes to the World Cup.
How do you think this result for Chelsea in the immediate future sets them up for the FA Cup next week?
Well, unfortunately, I think that from Chelsea, from week to week, you don't know what's going to, very much like Liverpool, because after the last two performances, you would have seen them losing, as David James said, maybe 4-3, but not playing as well and conceding more goals. So the danger for the cup final, for the opposition, is that on any given day, they can perform. So once again, depending on which Chelsea turns up, will determine the cup final.
Well, I do think it's probably more positive than negative. You know,
after this performance.
Yeah, after the performance, like John said earlier, the performance was good. They've come away with a point. They haven't got beat 3-4 and been really poor in the game. So in terms of that, you've got Levi back now. You've got Reece James that come on, which I thought was another bonus for Chelsea. I thought he was very tidy when he came on. So I think more positive than negative in terms of momentum going into the cup final.
Well, that is our early kickoff done and dusted. 1-1.